Radio 1 FM 90.
Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Spectrum, coming to you live on Radio 1 FM 90, broadcasting from the Central Building here in the heart of our city, Kampala. We are also live on our website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. On that website, you click on the word with the icon, Listen Live. We are also live on the different radio listening apps, TuneIn, AfroMobile, YoTV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Afrique. Those can be obtained from the Google Store of your smartphone. You click, open, look for Radio 1 FM 90, and as long as you have an internet connection, you'll be able to listen to us from anywhere across the globe. Radio 1 is also live on your TV set. If you have a DSTV connection, you look for audio channel 897. My name is Kenneth Lukwagandason, your host, and today we'll be looking at the crisis within the FDC. Now, in July last year, we began feeling tremors inside the FDC political party, which resulted in some sort of an eruption with exchange of tough words and actions from two camps. Now this has resulted into a split already, after the faction based on Katonga, led by the Lord Mayor Arias Lukwago and its patron, but also funding leader of the party, Dr. Kizza Besigye, announcing that it was no longer tenable to have a political party called the FDC. They resolved early this week that this party should be closed down legally following the constitution, and then a new one, and they should embark on a new process of exploring to register a new political party or join another existing political party for purposes of the 2026 general election. Now, when these words were heard by the Najana Nkumbi faction, which is led by Engineer Patrick Amriato-Boy, he branded them as self-seekers, people who have no right to make such decisions on the political party. Now, both sides claim to have the soul of the party. They have already traversed the country, both sides, to speak to their support base. Now, there are voices mainly from some founding leaders who think that it's not too late to reconcile. Now, the trouble seems to stem from accusations about money allegedly received by the Najana Nkumbi group from State House ahead of the 2021 general election. Now, these accusations were fronted by Dr. Kizza Besigye. The Najana Nkumbi group says that's a lie, and they say the situation is merely a reflection of a power struggle occasioned by another power base, which Dr. Besigye set up at Katonga Road. So tonight, we'll be hearing from two people here in studio. One is from the Najana Nkumbi group, that is the Honorable Jack Sabiti. In that group, he is the party chairman. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening.
And Honorable Jack Sabiti did serve as the national treasurer in the United FDC party.
Yes.
And then he also represented the people of Ruchiga County in Parliament. Thank you very much for joining us. In studio, we have a political analyst who is also executive director at the Dialogue and Democracy Training Center, Mr. Henry Kasacha, OHTWA. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm happy to be at Spectrum this evening.
Thank you very much for making time to be with us. The reason I invited you, you've been around most of these political parties, and you know some of the things that have been going on. And I'll begin with you, Mr. Kasacha. Like I've already narrated, in July last year, we started hearing some noise here and there. All of a sudden now, we're talking about a possibility of having two political parties born out of the FDC. Did you expect this?
Well, number one is that FDC is not the only political party that is having challenges.
Agreed.
And the fundamental defect that is within these parties is to have a process of resolving disputes or conflicts when they arise. Without a clear process, and if you have processes, you must believe in them. And when the differences are fundamental, they have long-lasting consequences. So it is possible that any political party can split or they can break away if the differences they have are indeed fundamental. And if you have irreconcilable differences on how you perceive where you are going, because a political party is a group of people who come together with a common perspective on how a country should be governed. So and they must agree on how they are going to get there. Now, if you do not agree on that, chances are that you'll be so distracted. And of course, politics is about power. Some of the arguments that will come up, you have a war of words, may not be to the core. It may be to consolidate political image. That you are seeing all these words from here, there, so much. But all that is to consolidate public perception of your political position. So the possibility that FDC is likely to have another group breaking off and forming another political party is quite evident now. These people have sat in Katonga, they have passed resolutions, they are going around the country, and they have made public their intentions to form a political party. And whether that can be actualized will depend on the steps they are making to walk that because many people can say we are going to form a political party, but they are not moving into that direction. We are forming a political party, but we are not moving into that direction. So it also has to do with the political engagement. What is coming from Katonga now? What is coming from here? So they can say we are forming a political party, but what are the steps are they undertaking? They have moved around the country. They have held meetings. These are visible steps that they are moving away, not to form another FDC, but to form a political party.
All right.
So it's possible, and it was inevitable that we are likely to have gotten to this position.
All right, I'll be getting back to you to dig deeper on this issue of dispute resolution. What do you think political parties need to have in order to deal with the contradictions that keep emerging? Because for FDC, this is now twice. We had this situation of General Greg Mukisha Monto and the team that left. Right. Now we have this team led by Erias Lukwago, who you would say is not so old in the FDC, but you see around him Dr. Kizza Besigye and the others, they are also moving out. Probably FDC has not learned a lesson on how to handle dispute resolution. We'll be getting back to it. But let me get to Honorable Jack Sabiti. Honorable Jack Sabiti, at the time FDC was actually born, I was taking my baby steps in journalism, and I could see the euphoria, the joy and happiness that was in the FDC. You and Dr. Besigye, for instance, were it was very difficult for somebody to say that some time to come you would not be, seeing face to face. It's really surprising that such a thing has happened. What is going on, Honorable Jack Sabiti?
Well, I still respect Kizza Besigye as my former president. He's a friend. But we seem to have had different approaches to the way we do things. We come from nearly the same line of thinking. Of course, I'm a little bit older than him. He was behind me a number of years. I saw him as a young man. And by the time we went into the struggle, Besigye left his profession and joined us. And he went to the bush, and he did a good job. But I look at it when we are looking at politics and friendship. These don't necessarily come together. You can have a good friend, but you disagree on other issues.
No permanent enemies, no permanent friends.
Yes. And it appears Besigye had a completely different program. Maybe some of us who joined together to form this party, people had different programs. And that's why maybe you see some people leaving. And it's not only in FDC. You remember we formed the first party before we formed NRM, and some people left. We panicked. I still remember. Museveni went. He was looking at something different, and we were somehow convinced. Let's join him. Let's go with him. You remember that party before we started the movement? UPM. It was very central in that too. And in the end, we said, okay, let's move together. But still, you can see, at a later stage, still we couldn't agree. Because an individual had his direction, what he wanted to do. We just said, okay, let's not destroy what we have. Let's continue working together. Let's actually destroy that party which we had started. You remember it never featured anywhere later. So we became one. We continue. Again, we find Museveni has a different direction. He wanted to work as an individual, not as a collective group with different thinking. He decided to take his direction, hence our moving to a different direction. Well, so me and the FDC found ourselves again together.
Well, see where Mr. Museveni is now. 40 years down the road, he is in power.
You see, there is a difference. You can be in power, but really have you achieved what we all of us wanted to achieve? Or you are achieving your personal objective as an individual? And that's where the difference is.
Well, earlier you agreed with me that in politics there's no permanent enemy, there's no permanent friend. But there's only one issue, interest.
There is interest. And if me and you converge on the same interest, then we shall remain together.
All right. So,
but if we don't, then there will be a deviation.
So how do you part ways with Dr. Kizza Besigye? How do you lose focus, the interest that brought you together?
Let me go back a little bit, and these are things you know. This party is not a personal party. It came as a result of a merger of a number of factions or parties and individuals. We had the Parliamentary Advocacy Forum, PAFO, of which I was the Treasurer General in Parliament. We had a reform agenda, which had been started by BSG and Bit Kamyas and others. We had Chapaka Ruhanga, who had a small party. Then we had the independents, the Matembes, the different people.
The ones you recruited from the NRM, the one that fell out.
They recruited themselves, really. We never recruited them.
The reason I'm saying you recruited them because you already had a vehicle, so they were attracted to it.
No, we were forming a party, right?
Okay.
And people came voluntarily. No one forced another.
So they came as promoters?
Yes.
So they were there at the inception?
They were there.
Okay.
In fact, when we were forming FDC, no one was stronger than another. PAFO was there. Reform agenda was there. Independent people, were there. They felt the way we are moving, we shouldn't follow them. We may derail, right? So we formed this party, FDC. By then, Bessie was not here, if you can remember. He was in South Africa. And I am among the few people who went, me, Reagan, and others, to have a chat with him to see if we can work together. Later, when we went to South Africa, I saw other people interested to lead the party. And Amanya Mshega wanted. General Muntu wanted. And many others, they wanted. But we who were a little bit older than some of these, we tried to say no. Since Bessie has had troubles, he has had whatever, and he has also his own faction. Let's get him to be our leader. And that's how we agreed. We came back. This party was registered, and we started, and we did well. We really moved around. We mobilized, and we formed this party called FDC. And we are sure that unless we look at what we want as a party, we may disintegrate, because we are men and women of different thinking. Some socialists, some, diplomats, those who believe in Western democracy. Others were independent-minded. Others wanted to be leaders, just leaders. So we said, okay, let's have a constitution that binds us together, where everybody will have a chance. That's why we came up with an idea that every leader, from top to the lowest structure, must occupy an office 2 terms, no more. 2 terms. If you are a president, you can vie to be a president of that party. You can go for chairman, you can go for a treasurer general, you can go for a secretary general, but not that office where you have been. And actually, that's what has caused the problem in this party.
All right. So at the moment?
Now, when Leslie finished his term, he was about to finish actually, he felt he was still wanted. He felt he still wanted to lead. He said, okay, let me cut short it was nearly about a year. And we choose another candidate, and then I can go and mobilize. But we saw something in him. He was looking at something different. Not what the Constitution states, not what the Constitution demands. And some of us discussed it. We said, why? Anyway, we said, okay, let's have another leader. Muntu comes in now to stand. And under Mafabi and others. In the end, BSJ was seen like someone who was looking at these people as not the right people who can be controlled. And we could see, that he could not support any of them. He was trying to hide, and it was funny. And even many people asked him, what is the problem? Where you gave us direction as our chair, our leader. He would never tell you the truth. So we left, and until Muntu came in, and you know what happened to Muntu. He disorganized him. He never wanted him to be as strong as he was as a president of the party. There was conflict, as you know. In the end, Muntu goes out. Now, Amriat comes in. This became more dramatic. They just said, no candidate for the party. I don't believe in elections. No one should go there. Me, Mafabi, and Amriat went to him, sat in his house for over 3-4 hours discussing this issue. He said, no elections. We said, why? Elections are useless. But here you have been in 3 times. Why don't you want another one to participate, to take, to also see whether it can work? No. Okay, what is the alternative? And we had a good chat with him. But he never wanted to tell us what he wanted.
He actually says he told you that there was already somebody who was ready to run for president, and you wanted FDC to support that person.
Which person?
Robert Chagulanyi.
No.
That's what Dr. Bessie has been saying.
That's a lie. He never presented this to the party. You can ask any member of the party. He never. If he had summoned us as our former president and says, let's sit down with party X, party Y, and discuss and see whether all of us can work together. Certainly, all of us, could have.
All right. Mr. Kasacha, listening on Honorable Jack Sabit narrate this lengthy story, the founding of FDC, and where we have reached, and he also says that particular thing that in politics there's no permanent enemy or friend, there are only interests, and it seems their interests are no longer in the same direction. Would you agree that probably that's the reason why we are seeing what is happening in FDC?
No, I think FDC has for a long time had an internal struggle on the strategy they are to use, and that is, and they managed to successfully contain that struggle internally. Many people did not know that indeed FDC was struggling with how to proceed, how to move, whether to go defiance, whether to go this way, whether to go that way. But internally they had that debate, but they managed to contain it as an internal debate. The public was not so much on board that all these discussions were going on within FDC. So when you say there are no permanent enemies, I think the context of FDC is a bit so democratic that they just wanted to contain people. And when you start on a pace of containment, you must hold it, because not everybody will be there to contain. Others will be contained for a while because they are still in that position. But once they're not in that position, they will use any available processes, not directed to go for the 2 terms, but to continuously try to lead from wherever they are. And that has been an internal struggle within this party. They have been struggling on how to proceed. And up to today, that is also part of the struggle. So the rest of what we are seeing, to me, are secondary issues. The only thing that they have lacked is that courage to be bold enough to put this struggle out and let people know that this is a struggle we are having as FDC. But the rest, this idea of permanent friends is that may not really capture the context within FDC and the struggles within FDC. And I would think that it may, right now they seem to have had, when people break off, it is a testimony of a fundamental disagreement that we cannot proceed this way. To them, it was a very painful decision to leave FDC because they wanted to stay around, relevant, but they felt that they could not continue within that vehicle. And they embarked on another long process of forming a political party. Now, if this group in Katonga is breaking away, it means they have reached another point of fundamentally we cannot reconcile, and it will break off.
I agree with you. Much as we had these structures of FDC, VSJ tried to form his own structure within the FDC, which are not part of our constitutional arrangement. Right? He started appointing governors. He appointed coordinators. Right? And he gave them powers more than a chairman of a district. And we discussed it at Katonga. I raised it. I remember I raised it. I said, Mr. Former President, what are these structures for?
But why were you discussing it in Katonga, not in Najenakumbi?
Yes, because you see, he had an office in Katonga as our former president, right?
Right.
No, actually, he had a government there, which you people
this is what I'm talking
willingly
about.
served under, the people's government.
Yes, he came up with a different cover, people's government.
And you served in it.
Right? At first, he never put me in. Later, he made me the Minister for Public Service.
And you accepted.
Later, because we had generally felt that SJ maybe is looking at something different which may also be helpful. Right? But then, internally, when we asked him, what are these structures? What about a chairman? What is the role of a chairman? What is the role of a governor? Right? What is the role of a commissioner that you have put? Also structures.
All right. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. We need to go for a break now. When we return, we would like to hear from Honorable Jack Sabiti. So what next? This group has announced that they are going to wind down FDC. The other day there was a court ruling which recognized Ambassador Waswabirigwa as the de facto chairperson of the FDC. And so they say whatever they are doing in Katonga is in line with the FDC constitution. Will there be FDC in 2 months to come? Are we likely to see Honorable Jack Sabiti hopping back to the NRM, joining Dr. Kiza Besigye, his long-term friend, or what are we likely to see? Stay tuned to Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum continues after this break.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum Live on Radio 1 FM 90. Today we are looking at the crisis within the FDC. FDC heading into a split. There's a group at Katonga, there's a group at Najjanankumbi. The significant thing is that the group at Katonga is thinking about winding down the current FDC, using its constitution, and then set up a new political party or join another political party altogether. The group at Najjanankumbi says this will not happen. Those are self-seekers. They have actually said they belong to a group of people who have not been renewing their membership to the political party. Now, Honorable Jack Sabiti, here we are. Dr. Besigye and the group have formally announced their intentions. I'm sure you know what they decided. How has Najjanankumbi received this news?
Besigye and Lukwago, and maybe 2, 3 or 4, 5 others, cannot just wake up and say, we were breaking the party.
No, they are not 5 or others. There were so many
people.
There
is a process.
They are the representation
some
of
them are not.
The
some of them, I saw, some of them are even in movementists. Some of them, moved away from the party. Some of them are just friends, right? So you can't say that group represents FDC. No. So I don't see how they can, the best they can do, they can form another party. I have no problem with them. Anybody in Uganda can form a party, and you look for people, you support us. But what right do you have as Besigye to dissolve a party which is not yours? All of us have a hand in it. We must follow the constitution to the letter. Yes.
They quoted the article.
No,
is it 36?
It is 36. I have it here.
Yes, please.
Right? You can even, read it. You see? But he has no power to call, But if the party agrees, right? And by party I mean, maybe Katonga and Najjanankumbi. If we agree, we can say we dissolve, right? But if a section says we,
And I'm going to read out this particular clause of your constitution. And Article 36 is about dissolution. They said the National Delegates Conference or the Special Conference may dissolve the party by 2/3. Majority of all delegates of the National Delegates Conference and transfer the assets and liabilities of the party. There must be a notice of at least 6 months.
6 months, yes.
There must be a resolution from 2/3 of the district conferences.
2/3 of?
The resolution must be
go slow.
2/3 of the district conferences.
Conferences, the resolution.
The resolution must be supported by at least 80% of the attendance of the delegates. Conference. There was a delegates conference.
Whose delegates are
these? Katonga.
Whose delegates are these?
Chaired by.
Whose delegates are these?
Chaired by your party chairperson.
No.
Waswa
Birigwa is not our chairperson.
Recognized by a court ruling.
No. Quote that one. I wish I had come with my lawyer to explain this to you. Yes.
There was a ruling recently.
No.
So, per your constitution, there's a possibility that actually FDC can be closed down.
By the members? Yes. I mean, it is 36. It is there. Right?
So, are you suggesting the people at Katonga are not members of FDC?
Some are not. I saw them. A good number of them are not. We have a list of people who are paid up as members. Right? So, many of those actually are not members. I saw them.
Let's define a member of FDC.
If you're a member of FDC, you must pay. You must be a member, a paid-up member, right? And that membership is renewed annually. Renewed annually.
In FDC, you don't have what is called life member. I've had it in other political
Yes,
parties.
but there are few. And I don't think we have ever given one.
Is Dr. Besige a life member?
No, he's not.
Are you a life member?
No, I'm not.
So who are the life members? If Dr.
Well, we
Besige,
have not
one of the founding
given
leaders,
them, right?
if one of your founding leaders is not a lifetime member, then who are
Well,
the
you
life
apply.
members?
Nobody has ever applied.
To be a life member.
Even if it's there in the Constitution, there is a process. The committee has to see it, discuss it, send it to the party agrees, you see. So this process is not there now.
There seems to be lack of commitment by all you leaders to the FDC.
No.
If there's no life member.
Life member, you pay, nobody has paid. You read it there, right? There is a certain amount you must pay.
So what happens? There are people who are saying that probably you need to reconcile. We have heard from some of your leaders. Maybe let's bring in Mr. Kasaja first before you even answer that. Mr.
You
Kasaja.
see, actually, the dissolution is it's not about payment. It's about the organs.
The organs.
The organs, but you must be a member to belong to those organs.
So what you have is that when you are going for an election, and this is the gap in the FDC and in many of these constitutions,
many of the political parties' constitutions,
you pay your membership, which is an annual. It's annual
subscription. Yes,
and you go to a delegates conference and you are elected. Now, if you have not renewed your membership, it does not disqualify you from being a party decision maker.
If it does, once you, for example, a year elapses and you don't pay your membership, then you are not a member. Yes.
You see, if people have not been members and they have not been paying and they have been sitting in all these FDC meetings, and if we had the register here, if FDC was open enough to show us...
This is my card.
This is Jack.
This
is the electronic one.
Yes.
You've been doing electronic registrations.
Yes.
This is the new
I have even the old
card.
ones. If you want, I can even bring them.
But you see, Kenneth, what I'm trying to say, and which I want Jack to agree with me,
yes, please,
is that many of the leaders in FDC have not been subscribing annually.
Actually, many members of political parties.
Many of the leaders in the leadership, actually.
They only show up.
By law, by our constitution, if you don't, for example, renew your membership, you are not a member. And if anything happens,
if we had access to the records, they have continued performing all functions of their respective offices
without subscription.
And I think Jack would agree with me that there are some members within the party structure.
Well, I'm no longer Treasurer General. I don't know how many people.
All right. But there are some members.
When I was the Treasurer General, this was one of the things I was following seriously.
So there are some members who have continued to participate without renewing their subscription, and they have participated in legitimate party activities. But the point I'm trying to talk about the dissolution here is that it must be by the legitimate party organs.
Party organs?
And the people who constitute these party organs must be the right ones.
The members.
Yes. So for any pronouncement to be made, there must be, number one, a roll call.
Yes.
To confirm that...
When you read it, everything is there.
Yeah, because you see, this is very clear. But in terms of the guidance at the meeting, once you have all gathered and you're going to take such decisions, you say, can we roll call all the delegates? And those must be the delegates who are the elected delegates.
Yes.
We still have a challenge in Uganda, which I've always convinced these parties to borrow from Kenya, that all delegates must be gazetted and must be filed with the Electoral Commission. All leaders, district FDC chairman committee should be put down on record, and even we all know it.
All the leaders of the party are submitted to the Electoral Commission.
Exactly.
Yes.
So anybody who goes ahead to participate and say we are making these decisions, we must be sure that they are those leaders.
That's it.
If you pronounce yourself to be a leader of the party in a district, you can make your decision, but will it have a legal effect? That is the first question.
All right, let's hear from Jack. Would you like to respond?
to take a decision of that nature, of that magnitude,
Yes.
you must first check your members who are in that delegates conference, that they are members.
Right.
Are you getting me?
Very correct.
You must. If you are not a paid up member,
You cannot
at the
participate.
time of such a resolution, you must be, you must not be
You
allowed.
disqualify yourself.
Right?
You are disqualified.
Yes. And those are the
from
systems.
participating. Yes.
Those are the systems.
Yeah.
Right? A member must be a member. To vote, you must be a member. Right? You may be a president, but you have never paid your dues. You may be a member of parliament, but you have never. Right?
So,
and I know there are some, even I remember some who rebelled when we were in parliament, who never used to pay. And what we did, we never allowed to be candidates unless they pay all their money, and they would pay all their money.
all right. What about Jack Sabiti? Any chances of reconciliation looking at where you have reached? And what would it take?
I am one of those who believes in reconciliation. Yes. But you see, these people have gone too far, right? The extent of wanting to grab and take over a party by force, right? So what happened at Najanankumbi, when they wanted to come and take over the offices, right? You haven't seen us going to claim what we have. For example, at the SG's office, we have there some of our properties, right? Now, they are very, primitive, the way they are handling their issues. Particularly these new members, Lukwago and others who came yesterday, right?
You seem to have a particular thing with Elias Lukwago.
Yeah, because he was imposed on us.
Really?
Because we respected the message. Let me say this.
I saw you people jubilating at Najanankumbi.
Let me say this.
The day Lukwago came, and your party president actually said you had gotten, I don't know how to describe it. It's some sort of a big gun. You were all happy and excited.
When Lukwago became?
When Lukwago joined the FDC.
No. Let me tell you. There were many internal discussions about Lukwago. Right? Because we knew his history. In the DP, right? In the other small party, what was it called? Malike's
for the
party.
time I've known Lukwago has been a DP member.
Yes, but remember, they also changed. They went to these small parties. Yes, they did. Suvi
was not a political party.
Yeah, but it was
some sort of
a pressure group. But you know what happened there? Again, Lukwago was central in that disorganization. So basically, when we lost, when we, our vice president, Buganda region, felt he wanted to change to go to the movement. Basically approached us and said, let's have Lukwago. And we raised the same questions I'm raising now here. But he's not a member.
He became a member.
They tried to convince us, let's wave about this and that.
He became a member.
And then in the end, we say, okay, let him come. But within a year, the man has become a problem.
But you see, Honorable Jack.
So now, let me
take Honorable Jack a little bit back behind. So is the problem Elias Lukwago or it's Dr. Besigye now?
Both. Because Lukwago is the one who was pushing him there, right? Besigye was pushing him there to come and do his work. Yes, and he's doing Besigye's work now.
All right.
No, I think it is not, the problem in FDC is not Lukwago.
Well,
and I think that Honorable Jack should be fair.
No, Lukwago has been.
If you had reservations on Lukwago, which were
let me tell you, by the way, personally, I have no problem with Lukwago in terms of friendship and whatever.
What I'm saying, Honorable,
but in terms of work,
Honorable Jack, what I'm saying is, when you sat as FDC, you went into a meeting. Yes. Some people had concerns. They were
and I was a man.
And you are among
them.
Ask
them. I said a person who has never been a member of the party and claimed to be a vice president.
And you see, this was an internal meeting, and you are later convinced, and the meeting resolved to agree to that. So you are bound by that decision.
Yes, that's why I kept quiet. Did you
So,
make noise?
so for today, I think that to say that the problem is Lukwago, it's not really being fair.
Maybe let me put this question.
Because
let me put this question.
I don't know how.
Honorable Jack Sabit.
I don't know how Honorable Elias Lukwago has disorganized the FDC.
All right, let me ask Honorable Jack
Perhaps he
Sabit.
can tell us.
Do you think you and Honorable Elias Lukwago have equal rights in the FDC?
Of course, now that he is a vice president, I am the chairman. Yeah, both of us are
Party leaders.
leaders.
So you
But
recognize him as the vice president of the FDC in Buganda
I
region?
do. I do. Because we put him there. But I was trying to tell you how he came in.
Haven't you replaced Honorable Elias Lukwago with Council Nsibambi?
Yeah, because he left.
So do you still recognize Lukwago as the
he
vice
left.
president in Buganda, really?
Not now. Not now. I recognized him when he was still with us. But now he's not. Yes. He's actually an intruder.
All right. We have comments coming in from
this is very
listeners.
hard.
We have
No, he's
comments
an intruder.
coming in from
Because
listeners here.
look at this. He has,
He's a party member. You may have replaced him at a position, but I don't think you expelled him from the party.
He says he's an intruder.
An intruder is somebody who's totally not a member.
And Honorable Amriat Patrick Oboy said Lukwago is a trouble causer, going by the press statement.
Everywhere has been a trouble causer.
All right, let's have comments. Honorable Jack Sabiti, why didn't you go with Muntu after seeing his principles and good intentions for Uganda? That's Joe listening in from Kamokcha. There are a number of FDC people have actually come here and apologized to Honorable Muntu and saying he was actually right. Time. That was his word as he was leaving. The FDC actually told us we shall know who the true mole is. I'll be waiting to hear your apology if you have any. Then we have another comment. Hello, Kenneth. Now we know that what we call VAR in football. Mr. Vesige said in addition to internal competition, Mr. Nandala and Mr. Amriat had a handball. Let them tell us where the handball is. Apparently, Mr. Museveni's cross then. Apparently, Mr. Museveni sent in a cross and they began working together. Otherwise, they left no room and took the money from Mr. Museveni. That's a comment coming in from Kiwenda. Those two people there, Nandala Mafabi and Amriat Ojoy, Oboy joined a football team where President Yoweri Museveni was the critical player, sending in crosses, and they ended up with the money in their hands. That's what it seems to suggest. Patrick Obonyo listening in from Busega. When Besigye started running Katonga faction as People's Government Office, that was the beginning of the problem. The problem in FDC's power struggle, not that money, because the issue now is dissolving the party, then form another one. If you are not happy with the mother party, leave and form one where you will feel powerful. They said the Acholi East and part of West don't agree with the issue of dissolving the party. Then we have another comment. In Uganda, the formation of political parties is still majorly a means to an end. That is to attain power. Unlike those in FDC who may pretend about this, Dr. Kiza Besigye and any serious people interested in change, they are fully aware of this. That's Kasozi Mulindwa with that comment. Then Benon Fred Twinamasko asks, how many paid-up members does FDC have? Then we have somebody here rising and says, hi, Anderson, at least Professor Maurice Ogengalatigo said he's one of the paid-up lifetime members of the FDC. Well, those are some of the comments that we have had that have come in. Let's hear from you, Honorable Jack Sabit, response to some of these, and then we see if we'll get more.
First, Besigye was given a chance to prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Nandara and others got money from Museveni. Right? As per our constitution, we put a committee, elders committee. All of us were summoned by this elders committee to give evidence. All of us did. Besigye did. The committee asked Besigye to provide evidence because he had made a statement during our meeting in the elders National Council meeting that he had evidence in terms of notes, money, which we can, use to get information from Bank of Uganda and where the money went. To date, he has never produced that money to prove. As a result, the Elders Committee found no basis for that complaint. I want to state this, that it's not the money issue which is causing this conflict in this party. It is the individual interest to continue holding on power irrespective of what our constitution states. That the party is somebody's. It's mine. That personality, that love to own a party, and you call it yours. That's the main problem. This party belongs to all of us, every member. And that's why I told you that there are term limits. Right? Vesge still thinks this party is his. This is not a reform agenda where he was. This is now a new creation of different groups. Right? And that's why we must share power. Share power. Vesge still thinks he must use it to acquire power. Yes, if he wants, let's come back. We sit down, look at this constitution, maybe remove the term limit. If we remove it, then he will have a chance to stand as a candidate in this party. But if
for party president?
Yes, for party president. But again, we must follow the constitution to amend it. Right? He can't just stand there. He just wishes tomorrow I must be a president in this party when the party says you cannot, vie for that office, right? But as an individual, he can stand. As a Ugandan, he can stand, but not through FDC.
Way forward, where do you see this impasse heading?
We had hoped that there could be a conflict resolution, and some of us really were looking at that. And some people approached us, and we gave a go ahead. You talk to the messages and others. We can sit down and talk. They seem to be stuck there. They don't want to talk. They are interested in dissolving a party to which they have no control at all, to which they have no power or constitutional power, whatever. Right? FDC will continue operating the way it has been operating.
Okay.
Right? So basically, if he wants to handle these issues personally, let him do it.
All right. Mr. Kasacha, as we come to the end of the show, how do you see things ending, this issue of FDC?
I think that, one, it is still possible to pursue reconciliation within this party. We have just not had the opportunity to plug and support these processes.
You sound like some of those people who are planning to chair the reconciliation meetings.
I have made initiatives before, actually even before they reached here, to help FDC not get where it has got. Processes have not gone very far. But some of us who believe that the differences may not be that fundamental to kill all the aspirations of the voters and members of FDC. The bottom line is that the many people in this country have supported FDC, and their members across, whether they have paid up members or not, but they believe in FDC. Right. And those aspirations are being shattered by what is going on. So if we take them into account, we can look for the interest and the position. We can change the position. Don't stick on a position, because the position will make reconciliation very difficult. So it is still possible. We can pursue it. However, if we don't, because this is politics, and next year is nomination year, people have to take decisions now. And that is also another factor. You cannot seek reconciliation for the next 4 or 5 months because the roadmap is out and people are gazetting their constituencies. So all this is also driven by that. Number 2, we should try to separate the personal issues and the institutional issues. I think FDC will still need to have that kind of process. Number 3 is that the idea that we have dissolved FDC from Katonga may be it may engage people, it may create debate, but it may be legally not tenable.
Okay.
And I would advise that it's also good for the people in Katonga to move with the members, to avoid creating confusion within the public that now the party has been dissolved. If you have agreed to move, announce we are forming a new political party, period. Those who believe in you will support you.
All right.
Number two, if you have not agreed to move, there is nothing that stops you from organizing to change leadership within the political party.
Okay.
You say, yes, today Amriat is the party president. We don't believe in his leadership. We are going to mobilize the members. At the next general election or party delegates conference, we must change the leadership of the party.
All right.
And you do that actively within the organization. So I think that...
Actually, this is his last term.
All right.
And it's not really about Amriat.
All right.
I think fundamentally,
time is not on our side.
we must agree.
We must bring this discussion to an end. Let me thank you, my dear guests, for making time to be here. We'll be following these developments in the FDC to see what will eventually happen as we head towards the 2026 general elections. Tomorrow, 2 hours of analysis of the top events of the week. This could be one of the issues that we'll be looking at. Do join me then tomorrow. But up next, we have the news in English with Miss Josephine Takano. Thereafter, we'll have the Soul Train with PP.